Over the course of the semester in Food Science and Human Nutrition 101 here at U of I have learned a great deal about the chemical reactions which pertain to the preparation and storage of food, as well as those pertaining to how we interact with, perceive, and digest food to utilize its nutrients. One of the earliest concepts we learned about was called the Maillard reaction, which occurs when proteins and sugars react in the presence of intense heat, whether direct or indirect, to form a brown caramelized crust or outer layer on foods, which gives them a deep and delicious flavor as well as a desirable texture for many. This process is often aided by using fats, which greatly increases the effectiveness of the heat transfer and increases the quality of the end result. One food which utilizes this reaction are seared or grilled cuts of meat or vegetables, like the ones I have shown here, which I cook myself. Another interesting concept which was talked about earlier in the semester is the concept of water activity. Water activity is the measure of a certain food's amount of available water, which can support or lead to microbial growth, which in turn can cause illnesses if consumed. This growth, while desirable in some situations, can often make foods challenging to store for lengthy periods. Beef jerky, one of my favorite foods, utilizes a process called dehydration to remove much of the water content from beef and inhibit most microbial growth, giving it a much longer shelf life. Dehydrated foods are great for food security given their long shelf lives when properly stored. Somewhat later in the semester, we spoke about a topic which is somewhat related to the previous one, which is called fermentation. Fermentation is the process in which microbes like yeast and bacteria break down sugars and release products like carbon dioxide, alcohol, or acetic acid in some combination. This can often lead to desirable flavors or qualities and is the process by which bread dough rises and non-distilled alcoholic beverages are made, like wine and beer. Here I have shown a simple wine or mead which I fermented using specific winemaking yeast and organic grapes, strawberries, and honey. Sugars themselves were also discussed at length throughout the course. We talked about the simplest form of sugar, which is glucose or table sugar, and its many alternatives with varying sweetness, caloric density, and health concerns. Table sugar and castor sugar are some of the most common sugars used in baking things like cookies and cakes. They dissolve well into batter and help caramelization of the surfaces of these treats during baking to give them a more rich flavor. On the topic of cookies and cakes, we also discussed the main differences between the two. Cakes are more typically made with liquid fats, commonly called oils, while cookies are usually made with solid fats. Liquid oils and solid fats differ chemically based on the number of double bonds between carbons in their molecular chains. More double bonds means more fluidity and a more liquid structure, which lends cakes and cookies and their respective batters or doughs their textural differences. A common oil used in baking cakes is canola oil, and a common fat used in cookies is butter.